to me, like that's why it disqualified him a little bit.
Which I have a problem with Inoue's opponents. I mean, but I'd argue if Bam had a little more meat on his bones, that Bam will knock out everybody that Inoue's knocked out recently.
Like, I felt no one was giving Ryan a chance. Everybody was saying, like, oh, Devin's going to smoke this guy. He's going to put on a master class against him.
It sucks that he tested positive for the banned substances. But, man, for those boxing fans that you hear, Marcos, echoing still, the steroids didn't make you get hit. It was a statement. It wasn't just a knockout. It was a statement that says that I have taken your place.
Yo, dude, like, I've said this to people, like, and I said it to her. I'm like, dude, you fight like a dude in there. Like, you throw like a freaking guy in there. Like, Hey, what's up, everybody? Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV, being joined with my man, our very own Marcus Hayes. As this episode here, we're going to go ahead and review 2024 and the standouts of that 2024. We had a fan vote for you guys, your viewers that have supported us and rocked with us this year and the other years, to vote for in certain categories who your fighter of the year was, upset of the year, fight of the year, KO of the year, etc., etc. Some interesting choices. I want to say, for the most part, you fans got it right in terms of what I would have picked. I'm not sure about you, Marcus, if you agreed with some of these or not. But yeah, you know, I already see some on the list from the results that I would have picked a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think the fans got it right for the most part. I feel like there was maybe a couple that were debatable. It is cool that the fans got to vote on their own, that all we did was kind of set up the parameters, and they got to vote on their own. So they spoke, they said what they say, man. So, shout out to the fans for taking the time out to vote, especially around the holidays and everything. That's a good look.
Yeah, this was the first time that we actually opened this up for fans to vote. And I know we were discussing, like, oh, who's going to get this, who's going to get that, who's going to get voted. So let's go ahead and break some of those results down. I think, the most recognition type of award for the year, I believe, is fighter of the year. And some of the choices that we had for the fans to vote this year, as I'm reading them off here: Naoya Inoue, which he's a contentious fighter for you, Marcus. We'll get into that. Oleksandr Usyk, Artur Beterbiev, Canelo Alvarez, and Bam Rodriguez. So those were the choices. The fans overwhelmingly, and I think rightfully so, voted for Oleksandr Usyk. I would imagine giving him credit for the 2 wins that he had over the bigger Tyson Fury, the win that he had in May to become undisputed heavyweight champion, and then the most recent win in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, December 21st. I thought this was a shoo-in, bro. Honestly, like I'm gonna keep it 100, keep it a buck. And I know we argued over this a little bit. Like, I didn't think Canelo deserved to be on the list, even though Canelo is a phenomenal fighter. I didn't think he really did anything of merit that made you go, wow, like he had one hell of a year, compared to, really, in my opinion, if you didn't give it to Usyk, I feel you had to have given it to either I want to say Beterbiev, because that was a big win over Bivol, but no, Inoue and Usyk were very active, and to me, they had wins where I was like, wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down, Marcos, to activity, right? I think that's the first thing. That's a disqualifier for some guys. And the second is the quality of opponents, where, quite frankly, where you and I butted heads about Inoue. Inoue's last couple of guys, I mean, he's got guys that his opponents have 5 losses between all of them, this year's opponents. When I think of that, those are guys that have been traversed before, to play it nicely. Luis Nery had a good outing against him. He was able to drop Inoue, but still, man, that's what we debated. But Canelo, for me, I thought
you wanted him on this list. Like, you're like, no, you have to include him. And I was like, yo, like, Berlanga and Munguia, like two guys that he was the favorite in. Okay, two guys that Munguia was ranked in the top 5 at 168 pounds, but Berlanga wasn't. Two guys that weren't. He holds the undisputed title. He's unified now, is Canelo, because of the whole IBF situation. Right. But these were two fights that Canelo was heavily favored in, and like to me, like that's why it disqualified him a little bit, because he was the overwhelming favorite coming in those fights, and Berlanga wasn't like a top 5 guy compared to like Usyk, who took on the number 1 of his division and beat him twice, almost had him out on his feet. Even though you stated your piece on Inoue that you feel like his opponents aren't up to snuff because of their records, like my counter to that was they're still the top guys in his division. Like every Inoue opponent as he climbed the division has been top 1, 2, 3 in his division after division after division. And I felt like, hey, that's a little bit more weight than what Canelo did this year. Last year, I believe he was the shoe-in for Fighter of the Year because of what he did for his undisputed title run, I believe. But this year, I had some trepidation adding him on that list.
For myself, when we think about Canelo Alvarez and the opponents that he fought this year, Berlanga, tough guy, come forward guy, knockout puncher in his own right. We knew what we were going to kind of get from that fight as far as what he was going to bring. We didn't know how tough that he was. I'm talking about the quality of those fights. Those were outstanding fights, man. Both fights were wonderful fights. With Munguia came to fight as well. And both guys being undefeated. Say what you want. This is the age where a lot of people care about people being undefeated. He beat 2 big names in the sport that, unfortunately for Munguia, looks like he's got a longer road to travel as to what happened with him, unfortunately, his last time out. But Berlanga looks like the sky's the limit for him if he stays focused. So Canelo had to be on the list because he beat 2 rising stars, undefeated rising stars in the sport for me. No question.
Fans, let us know if you agree with Marcus. I still have a hard time like putting him on there for this year. And like, given what happened to Munguia in this fight that he had against Bruno Surace, like I don't want to say like, it just makes that win seem maybe a little bit less. Maybe you can make the argument like, hey, Canelo took that out of him. But, when I see like the ranking, the activity, and the difficulty of those fights or those wins, like Canelo was heavily like, remember, bro, like people thought like Canelo was gonna smash Berlanga in like 5 rounds. Like that's how like lopsided like people felt that fight was. Like with Munguia, same thing. People felt, hey, Munguia is gonna do well for early, and then Canelo's gonna put him out. He didn't put out either or. But like that tells you like the perception of those fights coming in and how the odds makers had it one-sided, and the fans knew like, yeah, Canelo's going to win this. Like, there's no doubt.
For me, it's the extinguishing of the young flame. It's the extinguishing of the young fiery flame that both guys brought in. Outside of Canelo Alvarez, I think that they give any other guy, or that they gave any other guy in the division, their toughest night out. That as Canelo goes, still the sport of boxing goes. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that or say that, or we can debate that back and forth. But yeah, Canelo Alvarez for me, based on the performance and the fights that we saw in person. I thought that he did enough, and that he took enough away from guys that were top names in the sport, which I have a problem with Inoue's opponents. I mean, and you can say it's because of the lower weight class guys, but I'd argue if Bam had a little more meat on his bones, that Bam will knock out everybody that Inoue has knocked out recently.
That's interesting. Bam was on that list. I feel like Bam was kind of like a sleeper on that list, just given the monument of accomplishment Usyk did, where because it was the heavyweight division, because so much attention historically and even now is put on the heavyweight division because it was undisputed, and you had two guys that were undefeated, and really on paper, I don't know, like I'm trying to remember. I think on paper, Fury was the favorite coming into that fight, and yeah, the smaller Usyk almost putting out Tyson Fury, I believe in that first fight in that ninth round. Like, I don't know, just to me, the fans voted for Usyk. We're explaining, if some people should be on this list, but yeah, overwhelmingly what Usyk did, even compared to Beterbiev. If Beterbiev had fought Bivol twice this year and gotten wins, it might have been a tie, but yeah, head above, I think Usyk totally deserved that honor from the fans, and from me personally, I feel for me, he's my pick of fighter of the year as well for 2024.
And I am not throwing Canelo Alvarez in there and saying, no, Canelo over Usyk. I'm saying Canelo could not have been left off of this list and did enough to throw his name in the hat as far as vying for the win. But I don't have a problem with Oleksandr Usyk being the fighter of the year, voted by our fans here at Fight Up TV, based on the fact, like you said, the fight in May was an all-time classic, was an instant classic. He was an underdog, both in size and in what I think people projected was going to happen in the fight. We've seen a very stern and sturdy Tyson Fury go blow for blow with a big puncher like Deontay Wilder and overcome and overwhelm him and be able to knock him out. A lot of people thought that had that same Tyson Fury showed up, that he would have been able to maybe knock out Oleksandr Usyk as well. What we saw was a back and forth battle with Usyk imposing his will on the bigger, heavier, stronger Tyson Fury, moving him around the ring. And he did. He took both fights away. The first fight was an instant classic. And I think the second one, he separated himself from
Fury. Yeah, he totally did separate himself in the second. Like, I still wonder, like, why Fury didn't pressure more or use more of his size more in the second fight. Like, I felt in the second fight, he chose to box again against Usyk, where I thought he was just going to move forward, try to move Usyk back. It could, a lot to do with the IQ of Usyk and his speed. And yeah, it's a little bit difficult when you're fighting a fighter that's a little bit smaller than you. But, big congrats to Usyk on winning our Fight Up TV fan vote award for the 2024 Fighter of the Year. Big ups to him. Let's go ahead and move on, Marcus, to Upset of the Year. And we had 3 choices, but you just brought up, I think no. You thought this one that I'm going to bring up as Event of the Year, but I feel like this one should have been added to the list as well. So the choices for Upset of the Year were Jaime Munguia against Bruno Surace, in which Munguia was knocked out. Honestly, no one was expecting that because this Bruno Surace guy, a fighter that comes from France, who's undefeated, only had like 4 knockouts to his record. Not a big puncher at all. And he knocks out Munguia. He does something that Canelo couldn't even do, which boggles your mind, but I'll get a little more into that. Daniel Dubois knocking out Anthony Joshua in front of over 90,000 in Wembley Stadium. Bakram Murtazayev, just a one-sided whomping of Tim Tszyu. And I feel one that maybe should have been put on there just because of what was going on during the buildup to the fight. Ryan Garcia over Devin Haney. I feel like that should have been on the list because of all the craziness, bro, like surrounding it. Like, I felt no one was giving Ryan a chance. Everybody was saying like, oh, Devin's going to smoke this guy. He's going to put on a master class against him. Like, Ryan's not training. He's smoking. He's doing this. He's doing that. Like, he's not going to be competitive at all. I feel like it should have been put on the list.
I agree. Being out there, fight week, the build up, the press conferences, a lot of the murmuring that we did hear was exactly what you just echoed, that Devin Haney was going to absolutely baptulate Ryan Garcia, that Ryan Garcia would be in over his head, that he would be outboxed, that he would look like an amateur. People stated that Ryan Garcia's style was more amateurish than it was professional when it was compared with and contrasted with Devin Haney's style. It felt, the whole event felt like something. Maybe Ryan wasn't even going to show up for the fight. Who knew? But the genius that was Ryan was just locked and cocked back there. He had everything. He was ready to fight. He game planned his way into what was a dazzling masterpiece of a fight, dropping Devin 3 times. I mean, I thought, given the unfortunate circumstances around the fight, man, it really marred what was a masterful performance by Ryan. Honestly, bro, it sucks that he tested positive for the banned substances, whatever the amount was. It's against the rules. It's unacceptable. But man, for those boxing fans that you hear, Marcos, echoing still, the steroids didn't make you get hit. You still have defense. You still have movement. We thought, and I think that's where the upset comes in, because nobody ever expected Devin to be having an elevator fight where he was up and down. No.
Was that your upset of the year, or what? Out of those choices, what did you feel was upset of the year?
That Dubois and Joshua is juicy, brother. That's juicy because we didn't see the trajectory that Anthony Joshua had showed us that he was on. Looked like he was way beyond getting memed the way that he did, bro. I mean, it's just a testament to who Daniel Dubois actually is as a fighter, and I'm intrigued to see him in the future. But yeah, man, that was close. Those are still close, and it's hard to even process what happened to Jaime, dog. With being so close to Jaime as Jaime is to the channel, he's a good dude. His people are good people. That was a shock to watch him take that shot the way he did. But you can't admire your work, and he was just sitting there, kind of admiring his work, man. And he was hitting dude like he was hitting the bag, and the bag threw a haymaker, bro.
So what was your upset of the year? You said Dubois against AJ. Yeah, there were people picking Dubois to win, but it was very few and far between. But that was a shock because we didn't think Dubois would KO Joshua in that way. No. But for me, like oh my God, what the hell just happened came with 2 fights from the year. One was that Bakram versus Tim Tszyu fight, where I was like, what the hell's going on? But homeboy can crack. Like, he has knockout power, which is why I feel Munguia and Surace knocking out Munguia has more weight. I would pick that as upset of the year because, dude, like Bakram Murtazalayev, like you didn't know where this guy came from, but the difference is this guy's not a knockout puncher. And like you were mentioning, Munguia was teeing off on homeboy. Like the Murtazalayev fight was just a one-sided fight from like the very beginning. Munguia was in control, more or less having his way. I believe they scored a knockdown for him, right?
Mm-hmm. He had just dropped.
Yeah. And then just the perfect punch gets placed, and you see Munguia get down and count it out. So for me personally, I felt that was the upset of the year. And you fans, you voted Bruno Surace over Jaime Munguia as the 2024 upset of the year. And I think rightfully so. To me, that was the most shocking upset of the year.
And, Marcos, it's been hard to process it because it just happened. It just happened. The other ones we've had time to soak in. I'll admittedly tell you, bro, that I haven't had time to really absorb what happened to Jaime. I messaged Jaime immediately after the KO, wishing him well and a speedy recovery. But yeah, man, I mean, that was a bad knockout. And I think the worst part about the KO for Jaime was it was a little Amir Khan-ish when he was laying on his back, the way that he had no motor function. His arm was done. His arm was gone. His legs were gone, and he looked like he had like been slashed by a samurai sword, and only this part was awake for a while. That was a hell of a punch, man.
Yeah, and people are left wondering, like, how could this dude with 4 KOs knock out someone who showed a great chin and never been knocked out before in Jaime Munguia? Of course, like when something like this happens, you're gonna have fans. Some fans, it's not all fans. It's a small segment of fans like come out and say like, "Hey, Jaime's not the same anymore." Blah blah blah. And all I got to say is, yo, dude, it doesn't matter like how big of a puncher you are. Like you hit someone in the right spot with enough force, you're gonna knock them out. Like your chin, this is physiology. Like your chin can only take a certain amount of pressure, a certain amount of psi force before it's lights out. Like we saw it earlier with Ishida, a Japanese fighter named Ishida, against James Kirkland, who had like no KOs whatsoever. And Ishida just by chance landed the perfect punch on James Kirkland, and he knocked him out. So it's the same thing, man. It doesn't matter how big of a puncher you are. It's how well and how accurate you place that punch, because your chin can only take so much. So big congrats to Bruno Surace for getting that huge win. I believe they are going to have a rematch. Munguia activating that rematch clause for 2025. Moving from that knockout, though, which was a surprise knockout, I would say one of the shock knockouts, we go to knockout of the year. You fans voted and voted for a winner. But some of the choices, Marcus, on this, man, we had a lot of great knockouts this year. But I'm going to read off the choices, and you let me know what your personal preference is for the choices that we have here. The first one, Lucas Bahdi against Ashton Sylve. Jeez, that one came out of nowhere. Gervonta Davis against Frank Martin. That one was pretty brutal because of the way Frank Martin was knocked out. Daniel Dubois against AJ. I think even more brutal, that one, because it's the heavyweight division and Joshua fell face first through the ropes, I believe, actually, when he landed. Oleksandr Usyk knockout over Evgeny, what was it, a Shevchenko, I believe. Anthony Joshua folding Francis Ngannou like a lawn chair. That's crazy. Joshua has two slots on this. One for knocking out and one for being knocked out. And finally, that vicious knockout that Angelo Leo produced in his fight, which was a shock knockout as well. To you, what'd you make of the choices? Who's your preference, bro?
Woo. I mean, Marcos, it's what I love about this year's knockouts, bro, is every kind of knockout that you like is represented in the KOs. You got the face plants, the go backs, the superstar getting KO'd, the super prospect getting KO'd. I mean, everywhere you look, there's an unbelievable knockout. But for me, man, I feel like, the Tank knocking out Frank was a heck of a KO. And the reason I say that was a heck of a KO is because knowing Frank Martin and knowing what type of guy Frank Martin is and what type of dog Frank Martin is, to see Frank Martin get knocked out by Tank the way that he did, with the way that the punch was thrown by Tank, it was sensational, bro. It was definitely an unbelievable KO. But you go and then you jump from that knockout to when Joshua knocked out Ngannou, right? I mean, like, serious knockout of a guy that nobody thought was ever gonna get knocked out. Like Ngannou's a skull basher, bro. So to see him get put to sleep the way he did with the highlights that he's already produced, he went on, we saw him on Joe Rogan, and he had like one of his hardest punches like ever known to man. Like, you don't expect a guy like that to get KO'd. Not that translates to having a great chin, but oh my God, man. And then you've got Anthony Joshua getting knocked out. I can't go past that. I mean, this KO by Danny Dubois was it was a statement. It wasn't just a knockout. It was a statement that says that I have taken your place. I have taken what you had. I am now where you are. So if yeah, I'd have to say, man, but for pure beauty of knockout, I'm sorry, H2O, I would have to agree with the fans on that, bro. It was shocking. It was sudden. It was a guy who was that appeared to be in on his way to another decision victory, man. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 3 perfect punches caught him going down and face planted him. I can't disagree with the fans.
Yeah, the fans did vote that Lucas Bahdi KO win over Ashton Sylve as the 2024 Fight Hub KO of the year. And yeah, I can't disagree just because of the way Ashton fell face first. Like he like you mentioned, he landed. We don't know which punch is the one that knocked him out. He landed 2. It looked like he might have knocked him out twice. To be honest, you know,
seriously.
When I look at like KO of the year, like I think like which KO was like the most brutal or like the one that really made me go like, oh my God, like, oh, like just shock factor. And I feel, yeah, out of those choices that the Lucas Bahdi, Ashton Sylve one was like that. The other one that made me feel that way, but just the way, because just by chance, because Ashton fell forward. But the other one was the Angelo Leo flattens Venado Lopez. Like that one just out of nowhere, bonk, down goes Venado Lopez. And I felt if that Lucas Bahdi one wasn't in there, to me, I would have voted for Angelo Leo's KO over Venado Lopez. But yeah, I think without a doubt, the Lucas Bahdi, Ashton Sylve KO was the KO of the year for me and my preference.
You know, and an honorable mention for me, Marcos. Got to go back to my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Vic! Late birthday, August 3rd. Bacoli versus Big Baby.
But that wasn't a one punch knockout, though.
But
that was
it wasn't a one punch knockout, bro. But they very well could have ended it on the uppercut, though, my guy. But big heart from him getting up, and I think they saved him, to be honest, from
they did
himself at that point. Definitely,
he was on his way. He was on his way to get stopped with something and flattened out, and the ref did save him. But yeah, a lot of good knockouts this year. But the 2024 knockout of the year. Per you guys, the fans, Lucas Bahdi versus Ashton Sylve. Let's go ahead and transition over to Trainer of the Year, where we had 3 choices for the fans to vote for. One being Robert Garcia, who guided his fighters such as Rayo Valenzuela to a world title win over Pitbull Cruz, and Bam Rodriguez as well, having a sensational win. Sergey Lampin with Oleksandr Usyk getting those 2 wins over Tyson Fury back-to-back, and Shingo Inoue, the trainer of Naoya Inoue as well. Like my preference, I felt that Usyk's trainer should have gotten Trainer of the Year, in my opinion, just because of the circumstances I laid out for Fighter of the Year, where you have a smaller guy who wasn't favored going against a bigger guy who was favored in the first fight. They put a strategy together to beat Tyson Fury. They hurt him, and then they use that first fight and they go into the second fight and really perfect whatever plan that they had in place and like solidify this win. Like this was like a no question win right here. Like Usyk overwhelmingly won this fight, no doubt. And they put together a very, very good plan. And for someone like a Lampin to go and when I see trainers, they put together game plans, but they're also crucial too in terms of psychology when you're in the corner. In that first fight, I felt up until Fury was hurt, things weren't going the way of Usyk. They weren't going his way. I felt he was on his way to get stopped, to be honest. And then, he changed things around, and then they go ahead and they go to the second fight as well. So for me, my preference, I feel that Sergey Lampin should be Trainer of the Year. The fans had a different opinion. But Marcus, who is your preference?
For me, man, being an IE guy, I guess I would be biased, bro, because it's the trainer that I see the most. It's the gym I go to the most. And I don't just say that because I know him. This coach is the epitome of dedication, both in the gym, outside the gym. He's built a whole academy for his guys to live, to thrive. And that would be Robert Garcia, bro, over in Riverside, dog. Where when you go in, it's impressive. I think on one of my videos before, I've talked to him a couple of times about just watching him work. If you haven't watched Robert Garcia work before, I think that boxing fans, and I said boxing fans, would appreciate watching the way that Robert Garcia goes about his business with his brutal soldiers in the RGBA. It's a no BS type of place. He's got everything from top amateur prospect guys who are turning pro to guys that have made the turn. Everybody in there's 8-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, and they're knocking guys out. You even look at, I'll even take a guy that lost for him in a big fight this past year, and it was Giovanni Santan. Giovanni, when you watch a guy like him fight, he stick to his guns. It took everything for Brian Norman to put a guy like that away. Even in defeat, these guys aren't crybabies when they lose. The way that they're trained, the way that they're brought along as men, as well as championship fighters, bro. You got Bam in there. You got guys like, I see Brandon Lee in there all the time now. You never know who you're going to get when you go in that gym. And again, he bounces around that gym. He's like Spider-Man, bro. He's got a hand in everything that's going on with his fighters. He's one of the most active fighters and one of the most personable people and trainers that there is. Robert Garcia, salt to the earth type of coach, man. Definitely, bro.
Yeah, he got some salt and pepper type hair too. But yeah, you fans voting did pick and select Robert Garcia for 2024 Trainer of the Year. So a big congrats and respect to Robert Garcia. Wins with Rayo Valenzuela and Bam Rodriguez, solidifying that honor for Robert Garcia. Let's go ahead and move on to.
And Marcos, let me just get you real quick because I didn't mention Robert and Rayo, but I was there for the camp, the Pitbull camp. I spent a lot of time with both of them, and to watch these guys cerebrally breaking down what they were going to do with Pitbull. There were conversations like you just talked about with Usyk's coach, the mental preparation that Robert Garcia gave Rayo Valenzuela was the key component to the way that he performed that night. I saw it hands-on, first things first with the movement and everything that they had planned to do. It looked exactly like the fight night looked like it did in the gym. It was impressive.
Wow. Okay. Event of the year is the next one that we're getting to. A lot of choices. This one was pretty close too. But yeah, there was a lot of big events that happened this year. Let's go ahead and list off the choices that you fans had as options to vote for the 2024 boxing event of the year. First choice was the 5v5 Queensberry versus Matchroom, which did not go the way Eddie Hearn wanted it to. He was shut out in that one. The 100 fight at the MGM Grand, to me personally, is one of the, if not the best place to have a fight in all over the world. Gervonta Davis versus Frank Martin. The undisputed at light heavyweight matchup between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, something that people had been waiting for a very long time, that had been pushed back, and it lived up to the hype because of how close and how technically high stakes. It's like a high stakes chess match, those two, but that was a big event. Terrence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov, that happened at the soccer stadium over here in LA. Had freaking Eminem perform, which is that made it a spectacle all in itself, to be honest. That and you know, the show did go like 10, 12 hours, which I don't know.
Right.
I'm not a fan of these 10, 12-hour shows, to be honest. Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk won the first heavyweight undisputed, and Jake Paul taking on Mike Tyson in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. I have no idea how many people attended that event, but that was a culturally crossover, a crossover into pop culture. That's what I'll say that fight with. Just about everybody talking about that fight on Netflix. But for you, Marcus, your preference, the fans voted. This was very, very close, but they did pick a winner. But for you, what was your personal event of the year for you?
I would say the 100.
Really?
The 100th was slick. Yeah, it was great. Everything surrounding it. See, the fans only get to see the actual fight. Are we talking about the fight or the whole shebang?
No, like the event. Like, what was the event of the year? Like the can't miss event of the year. Like, I can't miss this event. I can't miss this fight. You know?
Well, I missed 3 of those.
Yeah, but you watched them though.
But it's not the same, bro, when you're not there, dog. It's hard to I would say that the Fury Usyk one looked dope, right? But man, yeah. One's not even on here, and that's Ryan Devin.
Ah, yeah, that was the one that you brought
Ryan
up. Yeah.
Ryan Devin was lit, my guy. That was Ryan Devin. Shout out to Brooklyn. Hey, that was an amazing night. That was an amazing event. The lead up, everything was good, man. So if I had to choose, I would say that one. I'm gonna reach out and grab Ryan and Devin, bro. That was incredible. And you can't now. I do have to say the August 3rd event with Terrence Crawford. That event was amazing, bro. I was right at the bottom of the ramp as Terrence Crawford walked down. He was looking right at me as he was walking down. I had to kind of move to the side.
Yeah, he's probably like, get the hell out of the way. What are you doing? Move.
My bad, TC, bro.
What's this guy doing right here?
He's like, what's he about to tackle me, bro?
Yeah.
Like he yeah, that was a dope event too with the Eminem there. I watched the performance right next to Swiss Beats and his kids. That was pretty dope. I had never been to an Eminem concert before, so that was a pretty slick event too. But yeah, you're right. I think what took that down was that sun, bro. I love SoCal, but my word, you know what I mean? Like you try to dress decently, and you end up like the event's so long, and you almost need a wardrobe change, you know, because it's outside and you've been sweating and whatnot, you know, and then all of a sudden it gets cold. It gets cold, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna say one outside the track. I'm gonna go Devin and Ryan for me.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like that event and yeah, like I don't know, when I think event of the year, I think like what event created the biggest headlines, the most memorable type of thing, packed them in the most. It was just an event that like people just talk about, still talk about, and really like when you compare it to everybody, like what event stood out the most amongst the others. Like certainly like there was a lot of memorable events for me. Like looking at this list, you know, I was there we were there at the Gervonta Davis Frank Martin fight. We were there at the Terrence Crawford versus Madrimov event. It was dope to see Eminem there, which is crazy. I don't think we'll ever see that again for a boxing event. That to me made it very memorable. Arthur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol, the first fight. Who performed that? Was it Missy Elliott that performed on that one? I believe it was Missy
Might
Elliott.
have been.
She's phenomenal, dude. I was not expecting that type of performance from Missy Elliott. Like I remember I looked
Missy
at
Elliott is dope, bro.
yeah, no, oh my God. So I was next to the top rank photographer and we both looked at each other and we're like, oh my God, that was so freaking cool. Like Missy freaking killed it. That's a memorable just memory for me that I pretty much got like a mini Missy Elliott concert and I was like maybe 15 feet like away from that, which was pretty freaking dope. Fury and Usyk, the first one, it seemed like it was a big deal, but to me, man, the one that really sealed the year was Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, man. Like just because it was Mike Tyson. And
Mm.
like it literally had people that hadn't seen boxing or had no interest in boxing wanting to watch. I feel like a good portion of America like watched that fight, being there live and seeing. I think they did, if not the same crowd as Canelo and Saunders. I actually think they did more audience wise packed in that arena than Canelo and Saunders. Um, and just the roar, bro, like the roar when the announcer, Big Mo is his name, and shout out to Big Mo, man. He freaking killed it that night with announcing everybody. But when they announced Mike Tyson and like that roar, I was just like, holy shit, like,
Mm.
damn, like this is different. Like only Mike can do this. And then, the fight, obviously, like we're not voting for like how well the fight is. Like we're voting for like the event. And it was the talk of everybody. Like you see how many people that normally don't cover boxing comment on it. How many people that from other sports and other walks of life comment on it before and after. Like to me, like it was a no brainer. Like that was the event of the year.
You know what, bro? I did watch it on Netflix.
Did it buffer?
When it
Did it
wasn't,
buffer? Yeah, there you go.
like when it wasn't buffering, it was good. The event looked like it was fun. I thought it was dope. I thought it was dope. It was. I wasn't there, obviously. It was super exciting, bro.
You see how he puts that in there? I wasn't
Yeah, I had
there,
to put
bro.
that in there, dog,
Yeah.
because I was not there, bro. Yair was
Thanks,
there. So,
Marcos.
thanks a lot, buddy. So I'm gonna not vote for that one right there. Man, it was a good one. It definitely was a good fight, but not a good fight, a good event. But dog, again, we've done so much at Fight Hub this year, right, guys? I'm going to throw another event in there that no one will see coming, but Brody, for fun, for content, for a good time, when we got to go to the WWE, the WrestleMania
Oh,
pump up, bro, and
the
got to
press
mess with.
conference with The Rock, where The Rock
Hey, yes,
slapped who The Rock
when The
slapped.
Rock slapped Cody Rhodes,
Oh
bro.
yeah, there you go.
Hey, look, man, I'm gonna tell you because I'm a huge Rock fan, dog. And when I got a chance to see the great one come out, dog, like, look, man, this isn't something that you get to do often, especially like I've never been to a Rock wrestling match or anything like that. So when you get the pop of the Rock coming out, and then I was in the first row, dog. So like he made eye contact with me and looked at me several times. Like I was like, bro, yeah, like I'm in it. I got to hang out with my dog from Ohio State that day, my boy AJ Hawk. What's up, AJ? Shout out to the Buckeyes, man. That was a heck of an event. CM Punk was there. I don't know, dog. I love boxing, man, but I do love wrestling too, bro.
I will say this with that press conference. I did get a big smile over me when I heard The Rock's music play. And I did think, like, oh shit, like, I grew up with this guy. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm
Yes, man.
seeing The Rock come out and his music's playing. And I was like,
Yes, bro.
this is pretty freaking cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I marked out like big time. I was like, oh man, this is cool. Okay, now back to work. Like I had to figure out like what needs to go up first.
Yeah, we just got to run around like kids, bro. I appreciated it, man. Just getting to run around. I appreciate the WWE for hooking us up, dog. Like that's something we should explore more, dog. That was a good time, man.
Yeah, that was fun. That
Excellent.
was fun. But the fans voted, and the fans did pick Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson as the event of the year. I agree just because of what I listed. Like that was the event, the can't miss event of the year. So congrats to MVP, to Jake Paul, and to Mike Tyson for putting together that event and making headlines for it. Our fans voted that as the 2024 event of the year. Let's go ahead and move on to one that could maybe be contentious. Shoot, man, a lot of options here, a lot of good fights. Fight of the year. Now, I see one here. I'm still a little back and forth between it, but here are the options that we gave fans this year and what they voted for. Sebastian Fundora versus Tim Tszyu to kick off the year in a freaking bloodbath of a fight. And then Sergey Bohuchuk against Virgil Ortiz Jr., another just back and forth brawl between these two fighters. Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk in a heavyweight classic, as you mentioned it, where we see Fury almost down and out. No, he was down. The ropes held him up, but he was down and out, and we see a split decision victory for Oleksandr Usyk. And Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. High stakes chess match there between the two. I know, Marcus, you've reached out of the bag and pulled out fights that haven't been on the list, but to you, man, who do you feel should have gotten fight of the year?
Bro, I mean, every fight that you just named, dog, was an unbelievable fight. For me, for a boxing purist fight, I would have to say, bro, Virgil and Bohuchuk, dog. That was like high level chess with slot machine payout type punches, man. That was it was a hard, gritty fight, man. It looked like something from the 30s, bro. That was a hell of a fight, man. It's, you can, and then you jump to obviously Fury Usyk, an unbelievable fight in his own right, man. A great bout. What was the first one that you named?
Bohuchuk. No, the bloodbath. Fundora and Tim Tszyu.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah, that it's really difficult, to be honest. With as exciting as all of those fights were, I am comfortable yielding to the fans on that. I mean, if you like bloody fights, if you like to see dudes fighting tooth and nail for just to stay conscious. I mean, when we talked about, when you go back to Bloodbath, right? When you go back to the fight that was on my birthday, March 31st, and you watch, when we talked to Tim Tszyu, remember when I interviewed Tim Tszyu after the fight, and I said, Tim, what was it like bleeding like that? And he said, bro, there were several times in the fight where I couldn't believe that it was me bleeding so much. I couldn't believe it. I was fighting and I was in shock at the same time. I mean, that, when you say that, and then you got Fundora, whose nose looked like it was all but broken at the same time. Both guys had to grit through something that we've never seen them both go through, man. So that could definitely, I mean, any of those fights I'm cool with.
Yeah. So I am going with Sebastian Fundora against Tim Tszyu. That was a hellacious fight. It was nonstop action. Both guys were just throwing like punches with bad intentions. Like they never really slowed down. Honestly, they just kept at each other. Like this was like an action movie like type fight, man. Like this is something I like out of a video game. Honestly, like it's just stamina bars not going down whatsoever. It's just chip damage. So like, for me, that was it. Even though Bohuchuk versus Virgil Ortiz was a tremendous fight, the Beterbiev versus Bivol fight didn't have the type of action like Fundora and Tim Tszyu had. Even though that one was like really a calculated chess type of match that you were on pins and needles because of the punching power of Beterbiev, and you thought, dude, if Beterbiev connects clean with Bivol, we don't know what's going to happen. How is Dmitry going to respond to this? And then there was times where Dmitry would lay out 4-punch combinations on Bivol, move in and out. It was a masterful technical fight. But I fight of the year, I think like a popcorn movie, man. I'm gonna sit back, eat my popcorn. I want to be entertained. Like what's the most entertaining fight for someone who maybe is not a fan for boxing, but just overall, like, man, like this is a great fight. Like I can't get tired of watching this fight. Just the entertainment value, the replay value is there. And for me, that was Sebastian Fundora versus Tim Tszyu. But you, the fans, voted for fight of the year, Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr. I was surprised for that. Like I said, like to me personally, I didn't think that was fight of the year. It was a great fight, and it provided like a great moment in that 9th round. I felt up until 9 rounds, pretty much I don't want to say it was one-sided, but Fury was winning. Fury was in control. Like it wasn't getting boring, but it was starting to get predictable. Like, okay, Fury's on his way to get a unanimous decision win. If not, maybe stop Usyk, because Usyk looks tired. He's like his body language is starting to change. He's breathing heavy, but that's testament to Usyk, who was able to adjust and land that punch and change the outcome of the fight. But the 2024, wait, you're shaking your head. What's up?
And then I got to go back to Ryan and Devin, bro.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight.
That was a great fight, dog.
That was a crazy fight.
That was a great
that
fight.
That actually should have been on the I think because of what happened, and it's a no contest now.
Yeah, man, I hate it, bro, because I mean, good night. Absent this freaking controversy, and that's why
honestly, without the controversy, I probably would have picked that as fight of the year. Bro, that was a crazy. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong because it was one-sided. And to have a fight of the year, you like to have a back and forth tussle, a tug of war where you think one guy is winning, and then all of a sudden, blomp, the momentum swings, and
that's what happened. That's what happened.
And now Ryan was in control pretty much.
Devin, I feel like Devin had moments there also in between knockdowns. Devin, it was weird because it was, what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when you fight Mr. Hippo on Tyson's Punch Out, right? And the dude, his pants come down and then everything starts going wrong, right? And then he gets his pants back up and he's able to box and everything's fine. But
who was Mr. Hippo?
Huh?
Who was King Hippo?
King Hippo on Mike Tyson's Punch Out, bro.
No. Between Ryan and Devin, who was King Hippo?
Devin was King Hippo, bro. his pants came down. And
I thought you because you meant the shoes. The shoes look kind of similar.
No. I'm talking about literally like he get it together. He would lose it and then get it together, lose it and then get it together, and lose it and get it together. I think that's for me. And I don't want to go too far down the road, but for me, bro, right now, absent if TC and Canelo get together, that's the most exciting fight in 2025, and it's the biggest rematch. I think it's a bigger rematch than Beterbiev and Bivol, unfortunately, bro.
Oh, definitely, just because of Ryan's name and the
drama, the lawsuit,
the bad blood.
Bad blood, the families that have fallen out, bro. We're talking about, like I told you, I love WWE. Somebody call Vince McMahon, bro. Somebody call Vince.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. Like, you gotta just be honestly a dummy if you don't make that rematch between those two guys. Like that's you're printing money there. Honestly, you're printing money. My only request is that fight happens in Vegas, please. Don't take it to Vegas. That's where it should have been, honestly.
Yes.
And they were planning for that fight to be there. Like, New York was great. It was crowded, a great atmosphere. But honestly, that fight belonged in Vegas. And it was originally supposed to be in Vegas. But the MGM and Canelo, flexing their muscle, being like, hey, you can't have an event here that big with Canelo fighting 2 weeks later. Like, go somewhere else. But yeah, that's a 2025 like fight wish, like
super fight.
Yeah, we wish for a lot of people don't want to see Canelo versus Terrence Crawford. I do. It interests me. It interests you, Marcus. But that Ryan Garcia Devin Haney rematch is probably could be the biggest fight of the year, unless this Conor McGregor Jake Paul or Conor McGregor Logan Paul thing like happens in India or God knows where, but because that given their names, that's a huge fight as well. So congrats on that. Yeah.
But and let's preface something real quick, right? I read something that Turkey Al Sheikh had posted, which I agree with, and I've been saying it ever since Jake Paul started fighting. It's no disrespect to Jake Paul. When Jake Paul is kind of fighting these sideshow kind of bouts, these are not boxing matches more than they are sports entertainment. This is sports entertainment.
I don't know, bro. My only thing is sports entertainment is scripted, and Jake's fighting these guys for real. Like, yeah, there's an entertainment aspect to it, which is important. But at the end of the day, like, they're really taking punches, regardless of what people say. Like, oh, his fights are fixed. They're wacky business going on. Oh, stuff with the contracts. All that is not real. It's fake. Jake Paul's fights are very real. He's taking punches. Like, I see how you can make the correlation with that. I think he just knows, like, hey, like, entertainment is a big part of this, but
Yeah.
it's still sport.
It's sports and it's entertainment. It's sports entertainment. It is not gritty, get down and box against a guy that's top whatever in the division. And it's not to take anything away from his events, because yes, there's boxing that's happening in them, but there's more of an element of sports entertainment. It's more sports entertainment than it is championship boxing. Put it that way.
Okay. Let's go and transition over to two awards for the females. One being the Female Fight of the Year. We had three options there for you fans at home to vote, and overwhelmingly you voted for one choice. The choices were Gabriela Fundora versus Celeste Alaniz, Seniesa Estrada versus Yokasta Valle, and Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 2. I don't know where you're gonna go with this, bro. Honestly, like, for me, no brainer. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano Part 2. Like, that was the fight of the night over there in Dallas. That Fundora Alaniz fight was very good. Seniesa and Yoka was very. Was it? Yeah, it was one-sided. A lot of drama, a lot of beef. We were looking forward to it because, we thought maybe Yoka was the one that could actually challenge Seniesa. But hands down, for me, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, like, they were the Female Fight of the Year. But Marcus, what do you think?
I would agree with you, bro. I think that these two ladies, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, they represent the best that the women have to offer as far as, or had to show this past year. I won't say have to offer, because there are a lot of girls that can fight, but the best showing, the most dramatic fight. It was dramatic. It was contested down to the last second. Again, there was blood. There was bad blood.
Katie got buzzed.
Katie got
round?
buzzed. And honestly, man, for those fights right there, I've talked to Clarissa about it before. I think that, dude, they need to experiment with either giving them 12 deuces or giving them 8 threes or something like that, because they train the same way the dudes do. And I know that it's kind of hypocritical, man, when you watch girls like Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano with the bloodbath and the fights that they put on and the knocking each other around that they put on, to insinuate that they can't take another 12 minutes of that, I think is nonsense, bro. And these are highly trained athletes.
And it can change the outcome of the fight, because you still wonder if Amanda Serrano had an extra minute in that first fight. I forget which round that she had Katie Taylor just about out on her feet. What would have happened, and maybe we wouldn't have gotten this rubber match, the second fight between these two ladies. But yeah, nonstop action, man. Like that fight, both fights were amazing fights. I want a third fight. Hopefully it does happen. But yeah, a third fight's going to go the same way. You could put these ladies 10 times out of 10 and they're going to go at it just like that with each other, though. Katie Taylor has now 2 wins over Amanda Serrano. I think because they were super close competitive fights, you can still make an argument that a third fight does make sense because they're just so exciting. But if I was a competitor, if I was Katie, I'd be like, yo, I beat you twice. Why do I need to fight you a third time? That's just me thinking like how I would approach the situation, but I would imagine she is up for it. But yeah, no, bar none, hands down, you fans voted the 2024 Fight Up TV Female Fight of the Year goes to Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. So congrats to you ladies on that. The other option that we had for fans to vote was the Female Fighter of the Year. We had 4 choices. Those ladies were Clarissa Shields, Gabriela Fundora, Katie Taylor, and Seniesa Estrada. Now, this one, actually, I was surprised a little bit with what you fans voted for. You fans voted Katie Taylor as the 2024 Female Fighter of the Year. I think, that fight, that lasting impression, may have swayed people like, oh, yeah, Katie fought in this freaking awesome fight against Amanda Serrano. Amazing performance. She can go ahead and get that honor. But there was, these ladies accomplished a lot. Like Clarissa going and winning, heavyweight, moving up the division. Though, maybe some naysayers will say like, well, there's not a lot of depth at heavyweight for the females. Maybe, that shouldn't weigh as much. Gabrielle Fundora becoming the youngest undisputed. That was a big accomplishment. Same with Sinisa becoming undisputed in her division as well. Like I would have given it a three-way tie. I can't have a three-way tie. Maybe Gabby Fundora because being the youngest undisputed. In my opinion, I don't know. What are you thinking here, Marcus?
When you talk about Gabby Fundora, this is a young fighter who has progressed leaps and bounds in the last 2 years, bro. Right? I mean, I remember seeing her fighting at the War Grounds,
Carson, California.
Right? A bit slappy, but cerebral. She's cleaned up and fine-tuned things down so far. You got to give her credit, and becoming the youngest undisputed. And knowing her personally and the way that she carries herself, she's like her brother. She's so nice. She's so pleasant, but when she fights, she is an absolute monster.
And dude, like I've said this to people, and I said it to her. I'm like, dude, you fight like a dude in there. Like you throw like a freaking guy in there. I remember the first time I saw her, like I said, I went up to her and I'm like, Gabby, you fight like a guy. Like, don't take it the wrong way, but you fight like a guy. Like, I mean, like you're as ferocious as a guy. Like, I don't see a difference when you're in there in the ring between a male or a female. Like, you're throwing just like the dudes.
And Marcos, it's funny that you say that, bro, because when we talk about her fighting at the War Ground, she's been there a couple of times out in Carson. And that's one thing that stuck out to me the last time that she fought when she knocked that girl out was that everybody was kind of saying similar things like, bro, look at her style. Look at the way she fights. Look at the way she puts her punches together. Look at the way that she moves. I think she's a budding superstar, to be honest, bro. I'm excited to see Gabby, and I will give Gabby. Oh man, it's tough because you got to. What people are saying about Clarissa Shields is ridiculous. Number one, going up and whooping the heavyweight, and not just whooping the heavyweight, but knocking her out, bro. She stopped her. She moved up to heavyweight and she's stopping people. She said that she's been with Shakur Stevenson some and learning how to sit down on her shots more, studying more. It showed in her last bout. How many times did she fight last year, though? I think that's the thing.
I think that might have been her only
fight. I think that was the only thing for me that kind of was like,
She had an MMA fight.
It's the activity, and there was an MMA fight, and, for all intents and purposes, we're just keeping.
So let's see here. Boxing. Hold on. See, BoxRec went ahead and changed things on their website, and they don't like to put the year anymore. BoxRec, if you're listening, please change that option. In 2023, she had. Oh, no, excuse me. Sorry, 2024. You are correct, Marcus. She had just one fight.
Yeah,
2024.
That was my only issue with Clarissa Shields being fighter of the year. We understand that she went up and she whooped that heavyweight. She looks miraculous, but at the same time, still, activity is king when we start talking about winning awards for fighter of the year, more than one fight. I think maybe next year we go more than one fight to qualify. So,
Gabby had 3 fights.
And Gabby had 3 fights, bro. Yeah, Gabby had 3 fights and 3 impressive performances. So, you know what, man? Just to be honest, bro, I'm going to put Gabby over. I'm going to put Gabby as the Marcus Hayes, the Fight Hub Hayes fighter of the year, bro.
Are you giving your own awards now?
My girl, Gabby Fundora, homie. Gabby, female fighter of the year in my eyes. You took care of business. You were miraculous this year. So, yeah, shout out to you, Queen. No doubt. Boom.
There you go. And rounding out the Fight Up TV 2024 Fan Vote Awards, we finish off with Prospect of the Year. We had 3 options for you fans to vote. And this was the biggest landslide in one fighter's direction out of all the options and categories. The 3 fighters that we had on here were Xander Zayas, Abdullah Mason, and the heavyweight that we saw get a vicious knockout over in Riyadh, Moses Aitama. Yeah. Who was impressive. I feel like he has a good future. Well, my big question with Moses is like, okay, he can give it. Can he take it? Like, I put him in there with a guy that can punch, and let me see how he takes that guy's punches. But I've been hearing praise and praise and praise for Abdullah Mason. Like, for me, he was my pick for Prospect of the Year. What do you think, Marcus?
Love me some Abdullah Mason, bro. Probably the most disciplined young dude in the sport right now. And that's no disrespect to my other guy that I'm going to name after him. I feel like Abdullah Mason he's shown he's got defense, he's got offense, though he did get dropped. I think, did he get dropped once or twice?
Twice.
He got dropped twice in his last fight, so he
with
did.
Johan Vasquez.
Johan Vasquez.
That was a crazy fight, actually. That was pretty crazy.
It was a bit of an elevator fight, but again, he said, all right, bro, I'm going to turn the gas all the way up on you real quick and fricassee you and get you out of here. Abdullah Mason's a great choice. But for me, dog, how many times did Kermel fight last year?
Let's see here. He did miss weight.
Kermel missed weight because he already knew that the fight was off. They already knew whatever it was. There was something with the physical or something with the other guy. The fight was off and they had no replacement. So
Kermel fought 1, 2, 3, 4 times last year. Abdullah fought 4 times last year as well.
I'm gonna, love Abdullah Mason. Man, that's a tight one between him and Kermel, dog. Because
actually, we probably.
I'm gonna give it to Kermel. Man.
We probably should have put Kermel on there as a choice. To be honest,
I'm gonna give it to Kermel.
I didn't pick Kermel because he wasn't an option on there.
Okay, yeah,
But you know what? But to me, like, Abdullah to me gets it because of like where he's at right now. Like, would you consider Kermel a prospect already?
Yeah, how many fights does Kermel have? I mean, 6. He's got 6 fights. I guess he's breaking into, I guess, that prospect realm, but you have to consider him as a prospect because of the competition he's already had. You know what I mean? Because of the experience. What was his last guy that he fought? I mean, this dude had he had more fights than Kermel did. I mean, I think most of the guys that he's faught.
I'm not sure.
The fight he had against the young Hispanic dude, they need to run that back. That was a great fight. That youngster doesn't need to go anywhere. He can squabble already. What was his name?
Anthony Cuba.
Anthony Cuba. Yeah, Anthony Cuba is a budding superstar in his own right. For these dudes to get together at the time that they did, that could have been a much bigger fight down the road. I'm not joking. Look Anthony Cuba up. Anthony Cuba can scrap. He's got skills. He can box going forward. He can fight going backwards. He's got good defense. Think about the tools that Kermel had to use to get the UD on this dude. He was not going anywhere. I challenge the fans to go back and watch the fight. It was a great fight, bro.
I think it's because he's just started out and he's at 6-0. That might kind of overshadow some things in the minds of fans. But yeah, certainly a fighter that, and others have said it, like they feel like Kermel is going to be a world champion in the future. But fans voted for Abdullah Mason as the 2024 Fight Up TV Prospect of the Year. So big congrats to Abdullah. Keep doing your thing. And to all the other people that were on the list and categories as well. Keep doing your thing. Man, it was a good year. Look forward to a bigger 2025. I just hope that we keep getting the fights that we want to see get made. The biggest and the best, fighting the best for 2025. So that goes ahead and recaps this award show that you, the fans, voted on 2024 awards for various categories. Thank you guys for watching. Yes, hashtag you matter.
I want to tell everybody out there, you matter, bro. If nobody has told the fans out there, you matter. You see that your input matters. You matter on your job. You matter with your family. You matter with your kids. You matter in your community. You matter. Remember that.
There you go, Marcus, with a ending message to you viewers and our supporters at home. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the time for you watching us over here on Fight Up TV. For Marcus Hayes and myself, Marcos Villegas, thank you for watching and have a productive and healthy 2025.